The briefing room at Forward Operating Base Kushamond felt like the inside of a furnace, even with the struggling air conditioner rattling in the corner. Afghanistan in July 2011. The kind of heat that made your uniform stick to your skin and turned every breath into work. But nobody in that room was thinking about the temperature. Commander Jackson stood at the front, his Navy trident gleaming under the fluorescent lights, one finger pressed against a tactical map dotted with red circles. 3 faces stared out from photographs pinned to the board behind him. High-value targets. The kind of men who made careers and justified budgets. Intel confirms all 3 will be at this compound tomorrow at 1,400 hours, Jackson said, his voice carrying the absolute confidence of a man who'd made impossible decisions in impossible places. They'll overlap for 90 seconds. Maybe less. After that, they scatter, and we won't get another chance like this for months. Around the table, a dozen operators leaned forward. SEALs, mostly. A few Army Special Forces. The kind of men who move through the world with the easy swagger of people who'd earned the right. They studied the map like it was scripture. The problem, Jackson continued, tapping a ridgeline across the valley, is access. The compound sits in a bowl. Vehicle approach is suicide. They've got Overwatch on every road. Helicopter insertion puts us 20 minutes out on foot, minimum. A SEAL lieutenant named Reaper, all sharp angles and harder edges, spoke up. What about a shot? There's a ridge here with line of sight. Jackson shook his head. 1,847 meters. Variable wind across a valley. And you need to drop all 3 targets in that 90-second window or the others rabbit. He paused. Let that sink in. That shot is impossible. We don't have anyone who can make it, and we don't have time to bring someone in who might. In the back of the room, barely visible behind a stack of supply manifests and route folders, Staff Sergeant Maya Vance stopped writing. She was 38, Army National Guard, assigned to the base as a logistics coordinator. The kind of soldier most people look through rather than at. Unremarkable uniform. No combat patch. No tabs. No scroll. Just another support soldier keeping the machine running while the real warriors did the real work. She cleared her throat. Softly. Almost apologetically. It's not impossible. The room didn't just go quiet. It went cold. Heads turned. Reaper's eyes found her first, and something cruel flickered across his face. I'm sorry, Jackson said, not even bothering to hide his irritation. Maya kept her voice level, professional. The shot. With the right rifle and the right shooter, it's possible. Difficult, but possible. For half a heartbeat, nobody moved. Then Reaper laughed. Not a chuckle. A full, barking laugh that cut through the room like a knife. POG fantasies, someone muttered from the left side of the table. Jackson's eyes passed over her the way you'd glance at a fly. Dismissive. Already moving on. We'll proceed with a full assault option. 12 operators. Fast rope insertion at 0200. Maya stood, gathered her folders, and walked toward the door. Her face was a mask. Expressionless. Professional. Behind her, the laughter followed her into the hallway, echoing off concrete walls like artillery fire. Nobody saw the way her jaw tightened. Nobody noticed the old scar on her neck, barely visible above her collar. And nobody thought to ask why Logistics Sergeant had an opinion about an 1,847-meter shot through variable wind. They should have. Maya's CHU looked like every other containerized housing unit on the base. Plywood walls. A cot with military-issue sheets pulled tight enough to bounce a quarter. A small desk with a dying lamp. No photos on the walls. No letters from home. No personal touches that might tell you who lived here or what they cared about. Just a battered rifle case under the cot, pushed far enough back that you'd have to be looking for it. And a small shadow box on the desk, kept face down. She sat on the edge of her rack, still in uniform, and stared at nothing. Outside, the base hummed with the sound of generators and distant voices. Inside, silence. The laughter from the briefing room still echoed in her head. Not because it hurt. She'd stopped caring about that years ago. But because it reminded her of the distance between who she was and who everyone thought she was. They saw a middle-aged National Guard soldier pushing paper, ordering supplies. coordinating convoy routes. Safe, forgettable, harmless. They didn't see the 12-year-old girl who could outshoot grown men at competitions across 3 states. They didn't see the Army Marksmanship Unit recruiter who'd found her at 19 and told her she had a gift. They didn't see the selection process that came years later, the one nobody talks about, for a unit nobody's heard of, doing work that doesn't officially exist. She'd been one of 5 women in an obscure support element attached to JSOC. Not a SEAL. Not Special Forces. No trident. No scroll. No glory. Her job was to be invisible. Long-range reconnaissance in denied areas. Overwatch for missions that never made the news. Precision fire from positions that were never supposed to be occupied. 3 deployments. 8 years. Shots that were never credited to her name. Saving operators who never knew she was there. She worked in the gray space of plausible deniability, and when she burned out, when the weight of being a ghost finally became too much, she'd step back into the light. National Guard. Logistics. A job where nobody expected anything, and nobody asked questions about what she'd done before. Now she was 38, ordering MREs and fixing schedules, treated like every other re-echelon soldier who'd never seen real action. The contrast was devastating. The world saw a paper pusher. The truth was something else entirely. Every morning at 0500, before the base woke up, Maya went to the range. Alone. She'd fire 50 rounds through her personal rifle, adjusted for wind and distance, putting them through the same hole at 800 meters. Then she'd pack up and leave before anyone arrived. Nobody watched. Nobody cared. Nobody knew. Now she lay back on her rack, staring at the water-stained ceiling tiles, and let herself think about that shot. 1,847 meters. 3 targets. 90 seconds. Variable wind across a valley. She could make it. She knew she could. But nobody would ever ask. By the next morning, the story had spread through FOB Kushamond like diesel smoke. The supply sergeant who thought she could make an impossible shot. The National Guard paper pusher who'd spoken up in a briefing full of operators. The punchline practically wrote itself. Reaper made sure of it. "Hey, maybe we should let the supply sergeant take the shot," he announced in the chow hall, loud enough for 3 tables to hear. "She can order the bullets too. Expedited shipping." Laughter erupted. A few operators glanced toward Maya, 2 tables over, eating eggs in silence. She didn't look up. By afternoon, a Marine Scout sniper had added his own commentary in the TOC. "Guess everyone's an operator now. Just got to believe in yourself." More laughter. More knowing looks. Even her own unit started treating her differently. At the motor pool, a specialist she'd worked with for months suddenly found reasons to be busy when she walked by. A sergeant first class pulled her aside after formation and said, quietly, "Maybe just keep your head down for a while, Vance. You're making us all look bad." She nodded, said nothing, went back to her spreadsheets. The disrespect wasn't just casual anymore. It was calculated. In the TOC 2 days later, Maya flagged a convoy route that would save fuel and cut exposure time by 15 minutes. The junior officer coordinating logistics, a West Point lieutenant who'd been in country for 3 weeks, cut her off mid-sentence. "Staff sergeant, stick to your lane. Route planning is handled by operations." The room went quiet. A few people looked away. Maya closed her folder. "Roger, sir." She walked out. Behind her, someone muttered, "At least she's not offering to fly the convoy herself." The worst came at the range. Still dark. Maya was halfway through her session, working through windage adjustments at 600 meters, when 2 SEALs appeared at the firing line. Not Reaper, but 2 of his team. They leaned against the barrier, arms crossed, watching her with smirks that said everything. "Playing soldier this morning," one of them asked. "Training for the big mission," the other added. "Gonna save us all." Maya stopped mid-reload. For 3 long seconds, she stayed at the targets downrange. Then she packed up her rifle, slung her case over her shoulder, and walked past them without a word. "That's what I thought," one of them said to her back. By the time the weekend rolled around, the joke had metastasized. In the chow hall, Reaper made a show of pulling out his wallet. "I'll bet $100 she couldn't hit a barn at 500 meters," he announced. "Any takers?" A few operators laughed. One took the bet, grinning. Maya sat 4 tables away, eating in silence, her patrol cap pulled low. The cap was worn, sun-faded, with a rectangular outline on the front where a Velcro patch had once been. Whatever unit it represented was long gone. She kept her collar high, covering the scar on her neck, the one that ran 3 inches along her trapezius, surgical straight, from a fragment that should have killed her in a place she'd never be able to name. When a door slammed near the serving line, she flinched. Just slightly. Just enough for the XO, an older army major named Garrett, to notice from across the room. He paused, coffee cup halfway to his lips, watching her. Something about the way she carried herself didn't match the job. The stillness. The control. The way her eyes tracked movement without seeming to. He said nothing. Just watched. And wondered. That night, long before dawn, Maya was back at the range. Alone. The base silent except for the hum of generators. She loaded 3 rounds, settled into position, and fired. 800 meters. 3 shots. Same hole. Her face was hard. Resigned. She knew exactly what she was worth. They never would. The helicopters launched at 1900 hours, rotors beating the Afghan dusk into submission. 12 SEALs, full kit, fast roping into the mountains 4 to 5 minutes from the target compound. The plan was tight, rehearsed, executable. Hit the compound at 0200. Secure the 3 high-value targets during their 90-second convergence. Extract before anyone knew they were there. Clean. Surgical. The way these things were supposed to go. Except nothing ever goes the way it's supposed to. At 2047 hours, the drone feed lit up the TOC screens with movement. Commander Jackson leaned forward, his jaw tightening. 3 figures entering the compound. Then a 4th. Who the hell is that? Someone said. The intelligence analyst's voice came through the comms, strained. 4th individual confirmed. Pakistani ISI handler. Not in the original brief. Why are they there now? Jackson snapped. They're not supposed to arrive for another 3 hours. Unknown, sir. But they are spooked. We're picking up chatter. They're planning to leave in 20 minutes. Maybe less. The room went cold. 20 minutes. The assault team was still 4 to 5 minutes out, moving through hostile terrain on foot, maintaining noise discipline. There was no way to speed them up without compromising the entire mission. Jackson's voice cracked across the radio. Reaper, what's your ETA? Reaper's response came through barely above a whisper. 4-5 mics, Commander. We're moving as fast as we can. They'll be gone in 20. Silence on the other end. Then, copy. The TOC erupted. Officers crowded around the screens, voices overlapping, options flying like shrapnel. Jackson paced, hands balled into fists, running through scenarios with the desperation of a man watching an opportunity disintegrate in real time. Can we redirect the team? Sprint insertion. Negative. Terrain's too rough, and they'll blow noise discipline. Hostiles will hear them coming. Airstrike. Civilian compound 50 meters north. Collateral damage is unacceptable. Reaper drone strike. Authorization will take 40 minutes minimum. They'll be gone. Every option failed. Every door slammed shut. On the screen, the 4 figures moved around the compound, preparing vehicles, gathering equipment. The window was closing. Major Garrett, the XO, stood near the back of the TOC, arms crossed, watching the chaos. Then he spoke. Quiet, but clear. What about the shot? Jackson spun on him. I told you 3 days ago. That shot is impossible. We don't have anyone who can make that. He stopped. Mid-sentence. Mid-breath. A junior intelligence officer, barely old enough to shave, spoke up from his terminal. What about the guard NCO? The one who said she could do it? For half a second, someone started to laugh. Then the sound died in the air like a gunshot. Garrett's voice cut through the silence. Check her file. Her real file. Jackson's face twisted with frustration, but he turned to the computer, fingers hammering the keyboard. Pulled up her service record. The restricted one. The one that required command-level access. His expression changed. The room leaned in, watching the screen over his shoulder. Redacted deployments. 3 of them. A unit designation that was just a number and a letter, no name, no official existence. A marksmanship qualification code that only a handful of people in the Army held. And buried in the citations, a commendation for precision engagement in Syria, 2009. Target neutralized at 1,923 meters. Single shot. Denied area. No backup. The TOC went silent. Not the silence of waiting. The silence of realization. Jackson looked up. His voice was different now. Harder. Someone find her. Now. 2 SEALs sprinted out of the TOC. 3 minutes later, they were pounding on Maya's CHU door. She opened it, blinking against the light, wearing PT gear and confusion. No mockery in their voices now. Just urgency. Staff Sergeant Vance. You're needed in the TOC. Right now. She arrived 2 minutes later, still in her points, hair pulled back. No idea what was happening. The room was packed. Every screen showed the drone feed. The 4 targets, moving with purpose. 15 minutes, maybe less. Jackson turned to face her. He didn't look at her the way he had in the briefing room. This wasn't dismissal. It was calculation. Desperate, cold calculation. Staff Sergeant, we have a situation. He gestured to the screen. 4 high-value targets. Same compound. They are leaving in 15 minutes. Our assault team is 4 to 5 minutes out. We have no other options. He paused. Let that sink in. Can you make this shot? 3 primary targets, maybe 4. 9-second window. 1,847 meters. Variable wind across the valley. The room held its breath. Every eye on her. Not mocking now. Waiting. Maya stepped closer to the screens. Studied the drone feed. The map. The wind data scrolling across a monitor. Her face was unreadable. Professional. She took her time. Then she spoke. Calm. Steady. I need 15 minutes to set up. And I need someone to spot. Jackson nodded once. Sharp. Decisive. Who do you want? Before anyone could answer, Reaper stepped forward. Not out of belief. Not out of respect. But because he wanted to be there when she failed. Wanted to see it up close. I'll spot. Maya looked at him. Held his gaze for 3 seconds. Then nodded. Let's move. They sprinted across the base, boots hammering gravel, equipment rattling. The Overwatch position was a reinforced tower on the perimeter, concrete and sandbags, built for exactly this kind of work. Clear sightline across the valley. 1,847 meters to the target compound. Maya hit the ladder first, rifle case slung across her back. Reaper followed, hauling the spotting scope and gear. They reached the platform in seconds, both breathing hard but controlled. She knelt and opened the case. The rifle inside was a custom .338 Lapua Magnum. Worn, but immaculate. Every surface showed use, but also care. This wasn't a safe queen. This was a tool that had worked. Reaper set up the spotting scope, muttering under his breath. This is insane. This is absolutely insane. Maya didn't respond. She pulled the rifle free, checked the chamber, ran her hands over the bolt. Muscle memory. Movements she'd performed 1,000 times in places she couldn't talk about. She loaded 4 rounds, slid the bolt home, adjusted the bipod. Then she went still, watching. Smoke rose from a fire in the compound. Dust swirled in lazy patterns across the valley floor. She read the wind like a language only she understood. Shift, speed, angle. Her eyes tracked invisible currents that most people would never see. She keyed her radio. TOC. I have eyes on. Confirm targets. Jackson's voice came back immediately. 3 primary targets on the balcony. 4th inside the structure. You have 73 seconds before they are mobile. Maya's breathing slowed, deepened. She settled into the rifle, her body becoming part of the system. Stock to shoulder, cheek to rest, eye to scope. Reaper watched her through the spotting scope, and something about her changed. The woman who'd been shuffling spreadsheets and ordering supplies was gone. What replaced her was something else entirely. Cold, precise, mechanical, a weapons system in human form. Wind, she said. Flat, emotionless. Reaper blinked, refocused. Called it. Left to right. 4 miles per hour, gusting to 6. Maya made a micro-adjustment. A quarter turn on the windage knob. Her finger rested on the trigger guard. Not the trigger. Not yet. On the screen in the TOC, 3 men stood on the balcony, talking. 51 seconds. The first target stepped into her crosshairs. Center mass. Then she adjusted. Higher. The hard math of ballistics and biology. She exhaled. Slow. Controlled. Squeezed. The shot cracked across the valley like thunder. 2.3 seconds of flight time. The first target dropped. Head shut. Clean. Final. In the TOC, someone screamed. Jackson's hand slammed the table. On the screens, the compound erupted into confusion. Reaper's mouth fell open. Holy! Maya was already cycling the bolt. Brass ejected. Another round chambered. The second target was turning, reaching for a weapon. She adjusted for movement. Exhaled. Fired. 1.9 seconds. The second man went down. Center mass. He crumpled like his strings had been cut. The third target broke into a sprint. 22 seconds left. Maya tracked him. Smooth. Mechanical. Leading the movement. Calculating speed and trajectory in her head faster than most people could think. She adjusted. Exhaled. Fired. The shot caught him mid-stride. Upper chest. He tumbled forward and didn't move. 3 shots. 3 kills. 19 seconds. The compound exploded into chaos. People running. Shouting. And then the fourth target, the ISI handler, burst through a doorway into the open, sprinting for a vehicle. The TOC erupted. Fourth target is exposed. Fourth target exposed. Maya had 1 round left. She didn't hesitate. Didn't wait for permission. She tracked him, adjusted for panic speed movement, led him by 2 body lengths, and fired. The fourth man dropped 10 feet from the vehicle. The valley went silent. In the TOC, Commander Jackson stood frozen, staring at the drone feed like he was watching a magic trick he couldn't explain. 4 bodies. 4 shots. 28 seconds total. Major Garrett keyed the radio, his voice steady despite the chaos around him. Overwatch. Confirmed status. Maya's voice came back. Flat. Emotionless. The voice of someone reporting paperwork. 4 targets neutralized. Rifle cold. Reaper lowered the spotting scope. His hands were shaking. His face had gone white. He turned to look at Maya, who was already breaking down the rifle with the same clinical precision she'd used to fire it. Wiping down the bolt. Clearing the chamber, like she'd just finished a training drill. He whispered, barely audible. Who the fuck are you? She didn't answer. Didn't look at him. Just kept working. In the TOC, the silence was deafening. Every operator, every officer, every analyst stared at the screens. At the impossible thing they'd just witnessed. The mission they'd thought was lost. The woman they'd dismissed as a paper pusher who'd just saved 12 lives and eliminated 4 high-value targets with 4 shots in under 30 seconds. Jackson's voice was quiet. Almost reverent. Get her back here. The room full of warriors who'd mocked her, laughed at her, dismissed her as a joke, finally understood. They'd been standing next to a ghost the entire time. The next morning, everything had changed. But not in the way most people would expect. There was no ceremony, no promotion, no public recognition. Her work was still classified, buried under layers of secrecy that would never be lifted. The official record would show that a Reaper drone had taken the shot. Her name wouldn't appear anywhere. But in the chow hall, when Maya walked in for breakfast, 3 SEALs at the corner table looked up and nodded. Not the mocking acknowledgement from before. Real respect. The kind you don't fake. She nodded back. Got her eggs. Sat down alone, the way she always did. 2 minutes later, Reaper sat down across from her. He didn't say anything. Didn't apologize. Just reached into his pocket, pulled out his trident pin, and slid it across the table. A gesture that said everything words couldn't. Maya looked at it, then at him. She didn't take it. Just nodded once. He understood. Picked it up and left. By afternoon, the base commander had quietly reassigned her to the operations team as a consultant. No fanfare, no announcement. Just a new desk in the TOC where her expertise would actually be used. Where her voice would be heard. The mockery was gone, replaced by quiet acknowledgement. Respect earned in blood and precision. But Maya didn't change. She still woke at 0500, still went to the range alone, still kept her past buried where it belonged. The sun rose over FOB Kushamond, painting the mountains gold, and Maya Vance stood on the firing line, putting rounds downrange with the same cold precision that had always defined her. Same routine, same silence, same ghost, because that's what quiet professionals do. They don't seek credit. They don't chase recognition. They do the impossible work in silence, often dismissed, rarely understood. Snipers, intel analysts, linguists, support personnel, women in uniform carrying secrets no one will ever know. The most dangerous people in the world are the ones nobody sees coming. And she'd been standing right there the entire time.